From smartwatches to fitness trackers to sensors that monitor things like your blood sugar, more and more of us are turning to gadgets and apps to help us all stay in shape. But are they worth the money? Well, tech journalist Lara Lewington joins me now, along with our Dr Amir. There's loads of things, isn't there, Lara, on the market that you can get. Talk us through some. Tell us about the... First of all, a lot of people wear smartwatches, don't they?
Absolutely. So I've got an Apple Watch here. There are many others, Samsung, Fitbit, Garmin, plenty of brands. And this will track your activity, your sleep. Newer versions do temperature, ECG. Most of them do heart rate these days. And what I've seen that's quite interesting, because over the years, as they've all evolved, I've been testing them and I've often worn 3 or 4 at a time to compare the results.
Sure.
When I first did this about 6 years ago, huge discrepancy in results. I tested 4 of the leading brands at the time. One thought that I had burnt 3,000 more calories than another over the course of a week. That's over a day and a half's food intake for someone of my size. One of them thought I'd done 25% more activity than another. That wasn't even the one that thought I burnt all the calories. But now the sensors have got a lot better. Last year I did a similar experiment. The difference is pretty negligible. On heart rate, on activity, they matched up quite well. The thing where I'm not seeing them matching quite so well, though, is on sleep. But I think that's partly definition because they break down your types of sleep into different areas, but even the amounts weren't matching up perfectly.
Interesting. So, Amir, what do you think of something like a smartwatch? I mean, I sometimes have them in a 10... You know, you're supposed to do 10,000 steps, and I find myself walking up and down the bedroom trying to get it to you know, if I'm nearly there. But what do you think about them generally? Do you think they're a good idea?
I think that for those kind of things, prompting you to get up and move if you've been sitting down for too long, measuring your heart rate, your resting heart rate and how it responds to exercise is a good indicator of fitness. And if it's got an ECG, it could alert you to any abnormal heart rhythms. But I think they're expensive. It's not affordable for everyone. And I don't like the idea of focusing on calories burned. The focus should always be on health, fitness and stamina, not calories burned.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're absolutely right. Can we talk about smart rings, Lara? I know you're wearing one there. Now, what does that do?
Yes, so this does all of the same. It's monitoring your activity, your sleep, your heart rate, your blood oxygen. But the thing I think it's particularly useful for is the sleep element, because sleeping in something big and chunky like this is a bit annoying. Also, some smartwatches, like the Apple Watch, that needs charging daily. This lasts for a week. And also the way that it breaks down that data on sleep, I find particularly useful. It gives you a readiness score for the day. So Fitbit does that as well now if you've got premium access. But it'll put together all of your data. So not just your sleep activity, but also how much activity you've been doing, your heart rate, and look at your overall health to give you a readiness score for that day as to whether you need to rest and take things easy or you should go for it at the gym.
And that just links to your phone then?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So what do we think about that, Amir? Little ring, you know, it's easy, it's more discreet, I guess.
It is, and body temperature and heart rate, breathing rate are good indicators of sleep quality. But I'm not being funny, Lorraine. People have been sleeping for centuries without technology. You just need a quiet, dark room. You don't need any clutter in your room. Avoid any screens and avoid technology. Sometimes that can make sleep worse. And what I learned at university, in the lecture theatre, not in the bedroom is for sleep and sex only.
Yes, it is. That's very... He's so wise, so wise. Now, look, this is an interesting one because a lot of people are monitoring their glucose, aren't they, Lara? And there's lots of different ways you can do that. No, I mean, you're right. Mama Karen will approve. It's fine. You're absolutely right.
I'm worried.
So tell us about the glucose.
Well, he's regretting what he said. I think tracking is now moving to another level. People are interested in getting more data on more things. And the question is, and I'll be really interested to see what Amir says about this in a moment, what we're moving on to for quite a few people now is the idea of being able to track our blood sugar. Now, diabetics have been using continuous glucose monitors for a while, and this takes things on from just pricking your finger at specific intervals and taking readings to a device that's worn in your arm that will constantly take the readings from the interstitial fluid. And you connect your phone to it every 8 hours or so, you sync it, and then you're seeing a full pattern of what you've eaten, what exercise you've done and how it's impacted your blood sugar. Now, what I wanted to test over the summer was one of these in-arm devices, but also I think this is quite an extreme thing to do for people who aren't actually diabetic. So I've also tested a smartwatch that aims to give you your blood sugar readings as well.
Right.
Now, it does this based on algorithms that look at other data, so your heart rate, your activity, your blood oxygen, and it'll then identify what it thinks your blood sugar will be. Now, this company, MyMonX is the name of this watch, this company's been working in clinical data for years. So they have a lot of information there, and they do see a correlation between all of these readings to be able to identify blood sugar.
Right.
So I wore them both to see if they came up with the same results. They certainly have shown a similar pattern, but the readings aren't quite the same.
Right.
Sometimes I'd have 5.6 here and 6.6 here, and it would tend to be one out. And also the results aren't as dramatic. So when I saw real spikes in my blood sugar, which interestingly, the main thing that I spiked from was having vegetable juice on an empty stomach, whereas an ice cream after dinner, especially if I went for a walk after, I wasn't going out of zone. So there's a lot of really interesting data.
Fascinating.
It is, and it's about when you eat things as well. So sometimes it's just a shift in the order of what you eat. And so it's really interesting to see, but I think for a non-diabetic testing these devices, I wanted the watch to do the job well, so I didn't have to wear something in my arm. But I actually learnt most of what I wanted to know in just 2 weeks anyway, and I've got a lot of takeaways from that point anyway, from the in-arm one.
What do you think about that then, especially for non-diabetics, Amir?
I think for non-diabetics, it is complicated, but the idea of wearing a blood sugar monitor, a continuous monitor, is good. It avoids the finger prick thing that puts lots of people off. And it does make you make informed food choices individualised to your blood sugar. So I do like this, I've got to be honest.
Sure. But it's that thing, isn't it, about, I suppose, about it being affordable, Amir? Because, you know, these things, they're amazing. It's extraordinary. We do have to embrace all of this in many ways, but they're not cheap.
They're not cheap, and health should not be a privilege of the wealthy. And here are my top 5 tips that you can get healthy without the need for tech. So focus on nutritious food, a balanced diet, whole foods, mainly plants. But if you are having meat, fish and chicken are the ones to go for. Movement, enjoyable movement. If you enjoy movement, you're more likely to stick with it and build it up. Number 3, good quality sleep. Those tips I talked about earlier, get them in 6 to 8 hours every night of uninterrupted sleep. Number 4, good social circles. People who hang out with other people and socialise more tend to live longer, have less levels of stress. And number 5, spend time in nature. We know it's linked to really good health benefits. Get those 5 things into your day. Most of them are free. You do have to pay for food, but then the rest are free, and you've got a good, healthy, long life ahead of you.
What a wise man you are. Thank you so much. Although I do take issue with what you said about the bedrooms just for sex, because you can have it all over the house, should you wish. Thank you, Amir. I love you. And Lara, obviously, you are going to be joining our team as, you know, we embrace AI, and you are going to be our agony aunt. So any problems that you've got, if you're a wee bit worried about all of this new technology, or you just want to know more, free expert advice from the best in the business.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.